Hi, it's Cajun DIY Diva, and today we're gonna have an episode of fun with cutting up men's shirts. I have a pretty popular video where I make an apron out of a man's shirt, a dress shirt that is a long sleeve button down shirt. For a while I collected a bunch of shirts, but I have enough aprons now. I use them in my art classes. So I was like, what else can I do with a men's shirt? So this shirt is a good one to practice on because it's got a couple of ink stains. It must have gotten washed with an ink pen in it. So what you're going to need is a men's shirt. I like the nice kind of, I don't know, I want the fabric to have like a good texture to it and not too silky or flimsy. So this one has a nice shirt. It's actually been to the dry cleaner a few times, so it's probably got a little starch in it. You're going to need some scissors, some sewing pins, a seam ripper, and a sewing machine threaded and all that. Now, I just want to let you know that I am not a sewing expert. I am just like more of a crafter that knows how to sew. So I'm not going to teach you, this is not a how to sew video. This is just how to do something. So anyway, I thought I'd make a dress for a little girl out of this men's shirt. And so I found this little dress. Let's see, can you see that? It's a little 12 to 18 month dress, and I'm gonna kind of use it as my inspiration for the new dress that I'm gonna make. So what I did first, or what you want to do first, is I used the seam ripper and I took the pocket off. And a lot of shirts, let's see, can you see that? A lot of shirts have a tag right here. And they might also have some extra buttons. So you want to take those off with your seam ripper too. So I'll do that in a few minutes. But to get started with this, I want to lay this dress on top of this shirt. And I think the dress I'm going to make is going to be a little bit bigger than this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a top piece, a bodice piece, and then I'm going to cut out a wider piece. I'm going to use the bottom part of the shirt. I don't know, maybe I won't do that because then I'll lose the buttons, and I think the buttons going down the front will be the cute part. So maybe I'll just make it all one piece. So, okay. So I'm just going to play this by ear, and I'm not going to pin it. I'm going to use a pencil, and I'm going to just bring this up here. We're not going to use the collar on this, so I'm going to fold it up to get it out of the way. And let's see. I'm just going to make a pencil mark, and I'm going to make it kind of bigger than what the shirt actually is. And you know what? I'm just going to draw it on one side, and then I'm going to fold it over and make sure it's even with the other side. So this is my shoulder seam, and then I'm going to cut out, you want to make sure there's no wrinkles or anything underneath, and I'm going to cut out a little space for the sleeve. And I'm going to come down with the bodice, and then I think I'm just going to do like a little A-line coming all the way down to the bottom of the shirt. And so this will not be a 12 to 18 month dress. It's going to be quite a bit bigger than that. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of cut loosely along the lines. And I'm actually giving myself a seam allowance. And I'm just going through the top, the front of the shirt right now. And I'll go through this. Okay, so where the buttons are, that's what I consider the center of the front. So what I'm going to do is try to fold this over right along the button line. Let's see if I can do that. I might have to pin it to actually make it stay straight. And then I'm going to trace out the other side so that both sides are even. And I know this white shirt, it's hard to see, and you just want to make sure it keeps moving it out. And I'll take my pencil and just trace, and hopefully it comes out okay. Whoops. This isn't going to be perfect by any means, but it should be a fun little way to make a cute little dress. Let's see, I'm rechecking where I have it folded over, and I might have to redraw this. And just go all the way down to the bottom of the shirt. So now I have my line, and hopefully, you know, you try this project and, you know, it might come out better for you than it does for me, which I always like. I like my painting students. I'm very happy when they're turn this around just so I can reach it. When their paintings come out better than the teachers, that kind of makes me happy. So I hope your outfit comes out better than what mine comes out. If you like this video, I'll try to do some more. I do have quite a few shirts. I have some ideas for a ladies shirt out of a men's dress shirt, so we'll see how that works. Okay, so now I have the front of the, and you know, now that I think of it, when you do it, turn the shirt inside out before you do this, so that if you're going to use the pencil lines, that way you can make sure that the pencil lines are not on the good side. So it might be a good idea to turn the shirt inside out. But like I said, this is a practice for me, since I had so many shirts. You can get these shirts at garage sales for basically almost nothing. You can find them at thrift stores sometimes for I'm just going to cut off this yoke because it's going to make it easier for me to pull with it, because that won't be in my way anymore. Hopefully I'm not ruining this. Okay. And I'm just going to take that apart right there. Okay. Now, so the front, I think I'm going to give the neck a little bit more of a curve, because you know you want it to be lower in the front than it is in the back. And I'm going to fold this together and make sure I've got this right. Alright, so now I'm going to put this, line it up on the back, kind of line it up on the bottom, make the bottoms match up. And then, let's see what I do with my pencil. It's right here. Okay, so I'm going to make the neckline a little bit higher now. And that's basically the only difference between the front and the back, is that the neck is going to be higher up in the back than it was in the front. I'm going to do the sides. I'm just tracing it exactly along the lines. Hopefully I've got this all lined up correctly. And I'm not going to add any trims on this one, just to keep it simple. But man, you could go crazy on trims with this. Put some lace around the neck, add some little appliques to the front, maybe around the hemline would be cute. I'll see what I have, and maybe I can just give you some ideas at the end of this video. And I'm just working on my coffee table as a surface. Nobody's home right now and the TV's off. Yay! For once. Now you could make this looser, like at the top. The whole dress, if you want it to be more baggy, you could do that. And I might explore a different way of doing it next time, but we'll see. This could even maybe be a nightgown for a little girl. So now I'm just going to pin the front, and I'm going to pin, putting the good sides together. And on this shirt, the good side and the bad side look exactly the same. But on your shirt, just make sure you have the good sides together and you sew on the underside. That's the side you sew on. So, now I'm just going to pin these together, match all the seams. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the shoulder seams first. So there, I've pinned the shoulder seams, and I'm going to go right out. See, here's the shoulder, and then this is the sleeve, actually. So, but they're all one piece. So we're just going to sew right here and right here, because you want to leave the sleeve open, the armhole open, and the neck open. And then to do the rest of it, we'll start at the sleeve opening, come around this curve for like where the arm kind of goes into the dress. And then I'm just going to pin it all the way down. And then I'll come around to this side. And it looks like I didn't cut it out perfectly right here, so I'm going to match it up and make sure it's perfect with this side. And then I'm just going to pin down here, and then I'm going to sew it in a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Seam allowance means how thick, how wide it is between your stitching and the edge. That's the seam allowance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this and then sew the sides, the armholes, and I'm going to take off this part, and I think I'm going to run a stitch. I'm going to sew down part of the, I'm not going to sew down the whole button line because I want to leave some of it open so that she can unbutton it at the top, but I'm going to sew it down at the bottom because it's got this big opening down here. So I'm going to sew it down, and I will. Okay, so I'm back, and I sewed the shoulder seams and the side seams, and I wanted to show you this. So because the arms, and I did take off that tag and buttons, see, the arms make a little puckering thing right here on both sides, and there's something you have to do. You don't want to leave it like that. So here's what you do. You turn it inside out, back to the way it was. And anywhere there's a curve in your stitching, what I like to do is make little slits and don't go through the stitching. Just go kind of up to the stitching. You can also make notches where you just like cut little V's out like that. But I find it's easier just to make these little snips like this, and anywhere there's a curve. That way when you turn it inside out and you want to press it, it won't pucker like that. So I'm going to do it on both sides. And just try not to, you can go very close to the stitching, but not too close because you don't want that stitching to come undone. And it's a good idea when you have to cut these little snips right there to sew that stitching over one more time. That way it will reinforce that seam. Okay. So to me, this dress, it could be a normal dress, it could be a nightgown, it could even, it kind of looks like a masculine christening gown. So you could do any of those. This could be any of those. And once I press this, you'll see it's still puckering a little bit, but you can see how it's better. And once I press it, that puckering should go away. You can see it makes a nice little seam. So here's the pocket that I had taken off. It was up here. I'm thinking it would be cute to sew that pocket on down here and make it, you know, a little feature of the dress. So I want to try to line it up so that it looks straight. And luckily I have stripes in this fabric that help me line it up. Also, you know, you've got your line from the button line, and you can just eyeball that. I eyeball everything, so some things come out straight and some don't. But just pin that on, and I'm going to sew that on. It's still got the edges turned under from before, so I don't have to do anything but sew it right on. I don't have to prep it in any way. Now for the, see, the bottom is all finished. It has, I didn't sew this yet, but it has a hem already, so you don't have to sew the bottom. You just have to hem the neck and the sleeves. So it's easier, I find, to turn it inside out. And let me just tell you this, with these sleeves, with these seams, if you don't want them to fray, you can zigzag them, or you can trim it with a pinking shear, and that way you won't have anything fraying anymore. But all we're going to do for him is to double roll it. So we'll fold it over one time, 1/4 of an inch. We'll fold it over one time, 1/4 of an inch, and then fold it over again, another 1/4 of an inch. And it's easier if you go to the ironing board and press this. But I'm just going to do this. So I'm going to do this, go around that and do that. You don't need to sit there and watch. It's kind of boring to sit there and watch me do that. And then the neckline, the button is not placed in a good spot, so I think I'm going to remove this button. Well, actually, no, I don't have to remove it. Yeah, I do have to remove it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make the neckline a little bit, come down a little bit further and cut right under that button so that there's enough room to make a hem around the edge. And that still looks nice like that. So you're going to do the same thing, but open it out, roll it twice, and on this side you're going to roll it twice. And you're going to go all the way around the neckline with that double rolled hem. And so I'm going to pin this around there and I'm going to sew it. You can see that. I double rolled it there, double rolled it there. And I'm going to go all the way around it and then I'm going to sew it. I'm also going to sew on the pocket and I'm going to sew down this part. And I'll be back. Okay, so I sewed all the hems around the neckline and around the armholes, and I sewed up to here on the button line, and I sewed the pocket on. So I sewed up to here. I don't think you could see that before. So, so here's my thoughts on how I did this. So I think I would get better with practice. The first one was a test, and it came out pretty cute. I think it would work well as a nightgown because of the size and everything. If I decided to make the top a little bit bigger, or maybe if I had hemmed it shorter, it could be a day dress. But because of the length and it's kind of small at the top, I think it would be better as a nightgown, right the way it is right now. Now, here's something else that I want to point out to you, the way I cut the buttons. Be careful when you are placing the shirt. Let me get another shirt and show you. So, when you want to cut out the top, cut it about maybe an inch above where one of the buttons starts. So I could do it way up here if I wanted it to be longer, or I could come down here for a shorter dress. That's just to give you enough room to show this up close. Look in the camera so see if I can show it to you. So what happened was there's an opening now right here. So I can fix this by just sewing on a snap, or I can put a buttonhole and add a button. I do have extra buttons that I took off of the shirt. So that's the way I would fix it. But overall, kind of fun little project. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.